Hey everyone, I want to talk all about intrusive thoughts, where they're coming from, a lot of the common misconceptions surrounding intrusive thoughts, how to really tell if someone gets it regarding OCD, especially at the chronic level, really the majority of cases that we work with the most. We tend to work with the most chronic OCD sufferers, housebound, multiple medications, in and out of facilities, 6, 7, 8 different coaches and therapists, and, very little hope. Not everyone, but a lot of people, and usually all stemming from, a very big common misconception that you can just say thoughts are thoughts or they're like clouds, which are key parts of the recovery journey for allowing yourself to distance yourself from the thoughts, but not just thoughts, intrusive thoughts, images, sensation, urges, all the misunderstandings I constantly have to talk about with rumination, one of the number one things that kept me stuck. And let's jump right into it. And before I go any further, please subscribe, hit that like button down below. You should see the What's Up link there now. You can just directly message Phil. If not, keep looking out for that. That will be there. And if the What's Up link isn't on there yet, please email phil@ocdrecovery.com and we will get back to you in a very timely fashion. We work with people all the time, different time zones, so we'll get you in very quickly. And that's very, very important to us. Take a sip of my coffee. Okay, so there we go. What are intrusive thoughts? Now, an intrusive thought, yes, are things that everyone will experience. That's not going to be enough to budge any sort of meter on chronic OCD because your intrusive thoughts come with a realness factor. It's very similar to a mother who has postpartum depression, maybe who doesn't have OCD, and the ER nurses say, hey, mothers go through this a lot, no big deal, you'll get over it. And that's not going to budge the meter for OCD. It's a disorder that feels too real. It's not rocket science, but you'll need more to get underneath it than just say, hey, thoughts are thoughts, et cetera, et cetera. So the other thing about intrusive thoughts is they are primarily a symptom of the core fear that you hold. Let's say your core fear is strictly just fear. The fear of noticing intrusive thoughts for the remainder of your life and it ruin your life, which is a common core fear for many people. You will need to break down the fear component as you become comfortable with the intrusive thoughts. So you hear people, what they say all the time is this: your intrusive thoughts don't mean anything. The content of the thought doesn't matter. And that's a very wishy-washy, oversimplified answer. When someone's saying that, I understand why they're saying it. But again, that's a really good way to tell if this is the person I should be working with. There's a couple signs that I would give you if I should be working with this person. If they're only using ERP, everything is ERP. Gotta be careful with that. And the thoughts are thoughts, and the context of the thought doesn't matter. The context of the thought does matter. I'll give you an example. Let's say you're having intrusive thoughts all day long about cheating on your partner, or intrusive thoughts all day long about consent. Oh, was that person the minor that I hooked up with in college? False memory, real event. If you're having intrusive thoughts all day long about being stuck with your breathing sensations, as Paul Little said elegantly about a year ago, that's a blueprint into your core fear. So to say that the context of the thought doesn't matter is an oversimplification. See, the biggest problem with social media right now is the oversimplification of anything in life, because it's very easy to do that in a post. This goes for rumination. This goes for relationship advice, non-OCD sufferers. This goes for business advice. Most business advice on social media is primarily garbage. And the reason why is because we already know what works: consistency, persistence, and learning from trial and error. But they oversimplify it, right? You see stuff like how to make $10 million or how to make $100 million offer. And the chance of someone making a $100 million offer in their life is 0.000000001%. I mean, how many people sell a business for $100 million? Doesn't mean you can't strive for that. It just goes to show you the oversimplification of these principles. I see a lot of people talk about Ellis. So happy to see that. There's a big difference between speaking about it and living it. OCD sufferers do not have the luxury of just speaking about it if they want to get better. They have to practice, adopt, and live that philosophy day in, day out. This is why we understand, you can't really fool a chronic OCD sufferer when it comes to the intrusive thought theory. Context doesn't matter, just leave it be there. We know that doesn't work, because in the last year, I have probably worked with 50 to 100 different people individually, not even the webinars, that have come from facilities saying, look, they're nice, they help me with basic stuff, but they just they just tell me thoughts are thoughts, or that doesn't matter. If you have POCD and you're having these urges and groanal responses and thoughts that come with it, at the realness factor of you're convinced, no amount of thoughts or thoughts will work for that. But that doesn't mean it's not an important piece or distancing yourself from the thoughts as you're working on the core fear. So I'll give you an example. You know, when thoughts would come of you're going to be stuck with your sensory motor forever, you're never going to recover, I had to allow that rumination process to be present. And that leads me into the next misunderstanding, which I talk about a lot, is that rumination is something that you could just stop doing. Completely incorrect and asinine. OCD and anxiety sufferers, you know, there are a lot of them who are sick and tired when they come in. They're like, they're just telling me to not ruminate. And I'm like, I can't do that. You're right, you can't do that. And it undermines what your knowledge is of your own experience. Because, again, it's not easy to understand. Automatic thoughts. Specifically, we're going to talk about thoughts because this video is called How to Wear Intrusive Thoughts or Myths Surrounding Intrusive Thoughts. I don't know what I'm going to name it yet. You know, those thoughts are coming from the core fear. So the way it works is I don't really have a piece of paper next to me. Now, well, I do. I could do it like this. So you have, you know, core fear. That's the top dog, right? Then the core fear comes with an intrusive thought, okay? So those are coming primarily from these strong, rigid must, shoulds, and oughts. What's happening is that's perpetuating a realness factor, okay? So it has to come with a realness factor of 0 to 100. It's important to understand that practically. Everything I talk about is practical application, not about serotonin, dopamine, prefrontal cortex, synapses, neuroanatomy, neurophysiology. Cool stuff, has no application for breaking your fears down. It really doesn't actually matter at all. You could not even know the word serotonin and understand your fears and recover. So remember, you have the core fear. That comes with intrusive thoughts, obviously, image, sensation, urges, but this is a thought video. It comes with that realness factor, which convinces you, right? So convinces us of the validity. This is the most important part. If it didn't feel real, it wouldn't be a disorder, and you could just use thoughts or thoughts. Milder cases, this works. Because it comes with that realness factor, you do a compulsion or an avoidance behavior. Remember, this is a practical thing, not about physiology. And then that reinstills the fear. So you have, it's on the back of this poster of my wife's friend. You could see her through it. So you have the core fear. That comes with automatic intrusive thoughts, primarily automatic. They're not coming for no reason at the chronic level. Comes with the realness factor, convinced of its validity. You do a compulsion, avoidance behavior to rid it. And I work with this all day when people say to me, hey, you know, reassurance works. I think you guys are wrong. That happens all the time. This is going to work for me. And I say, look, if it's going to work for you, why hasn't it worked already? It's a really important question to ask yourself. If it worked, why are you still stuck? So what do we actually have to do? What's a practical takeaway of this video? The context of the thought does matter. Remember what I said in the beginning about Paul Little. If it's about the same things over and over and over again, it's giving you a blueprint into what that core fear is, keyword core fear. So we have to allow room for the automatic rumination process to go on. As I always tell people, trying to stop rumination full out is a compulsion. No one ever talks about that. I did this a lot. That's why I've made so much progress in my life, because if my brain started to ruminate about something, I allow that space to be there, because the core fear is, if I ruminate forever, my life is ruined. That doesn't mean there's not an analyzing outward factor. You're never going to be able to get a line in the sand on that. I talk about that. But just know that a lot of your rumination is automatic. Remember the symptom I use? Automatic rumination is the pain to the broken leg. It's the rain to the storm. It's the cough to the COVID. When you have COVID and you're coughing, that coughing won't go away until the virus goes away or lies dormant. Same exact thing for the rain. The rain will stop when the clouds stop and the precipitation goes away. The pain stops in the broken leg when you're healed in rehab. Trying to stop the pain while jumping on a broken leg, that's an Albert Ellis quote, is similar to saying, why am I ruminating? Stop ruminating. So again, intrusive thoughts will have to be warned. They can give you some insight. So it's not as simple as thoughts or thoughts. It don't matter. And that is the best overall thing. And you can look back what I said about that symptom. Thank you again, everyone. Remember, link down below. If the link isn't there yet, please email phil@ocdrecovery.com. I would love to break this down with you. It's very, very important that we show people the proper way to go about wearing thoughts, and we'll go from there. And hope to see you soon. Have a good one, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.